Hello, curious minds. Welcome to another intellectual journey, a space to question what we take for granted and explore the depths of our own experience. Today, we're going to delve into a topic you've probably felt, but rarely spoken aloud. It's a strange modern sensation. I want you to think about the last time you found yourself in absolute unplanned silence. Maybe it was in an elevator, waiting in line, or when the power went out. Feel that moment. What was the first thing you did? You probably pulled out your phone. That reaction is the heart of our mystery today. The big question confronting us is terrifying in its simplicity. Why has silence become so uncomfortable for us? It seems we've lost a fundamental skill, the ability to simply be with our own thoughts, without distractions, without noise, as if we're afraid of what we might find there. This isn't an isolated feeling. It's a silent epidemic. The constant need to fill every second with a podcast, music, a video, or any external stimulus is a clear sign. We're running away, but the question is, what exactly are we running from? The answer is deeper than you imagine. Join me as we deconstruct this phenomenon. Together, we'll explore the psychology behind this fear, the social forces that fuel it, and the hidden cost of living in a world that fears stillness. What we uncover could change the way you relate to yourself forever. First, let's talk about the brain. Our mind has something neuroscientists call the default mode network. Think of it as the brain's standby mode. It activates when we're not focused on an external task, when our mind is free to wander, dream, and reflect. This network is crucial. It's where we connect ideas, process emotions, and build our identity. It's the space where creativity and self-awareness are born. However, for it to function, it needs one thing we're constantly denying it. It needs silence, it needs emptiness. The problem is that when this network activates, it doesn't just bring brilliant ideas. It also brings our anxieties to the surface, our fears, the conversations we avoid, our regrets. Silence then isn't empty. It's filled with ourselves, with all the good and the bad. Thus, our flight from silence is in reality a flight from our own mind. We fill the void with external noise so we don't have to face the internal noise. Our phones, music, and streaming shows aren't just entertainment. They've become a sophisticated and socially accepted coping mechanism. Psychologists like Sherry Turkle from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, have studied this for years. She argues that technology gives us the illusion of companionship without the demands of friendship. It allows us to be connected yet hidden, avoiding the vulnerability true introspection requires. Think about it for a moment. Silence forces us to be our own only conversation partner. And if we don't like what we hear in our heads, if we haven't learned to dialogue with ourselves, that company becomes unbearable. We prefer distraction over confrontation. Now, this isn't just an individual problem, it's a deeply social phenomenon. Our culture has started to equate busyness with importance. Silence, inactivity is seen as laziness or failure. There's constant pressure to be productive, to always be doing something. This idea is sometimes called hustle culture. It's the belief that every free moment must be optimized, monetized, or used for self-improvement. In this system, the simple act of being, of doing nothing, holds no value. Rest is mistaken for wasted time. Social media amplifies this pressure. We see the seemingly perfect, busy lives of others. An endless stream of travel achievements and activities. This creates a fear of falling behind, a social anxiety that pushes us to fill our own calendars and, by extension, our silence. The Korean-German philosopher Byung-Chul Han describes it brilliantly. He says we've moved from a disciplinary society where we were told what to do to a performance society where we demand perfection from ourselves. We are our own exploiters. And silence is when we hear the inner taskmaster. This creates a paradox. We seek constant connection through technology, but we feel lonelier than ever. We fill the air with noise, but we don't have meaningful conversations. We are overstimulated yet profoundly bored. We've disconnected from the source, from ourselves. Historically, silence and solitude weren't always seen as negative. In fact, they were considered virtues. Many philosophical and spiritual traditions, from Stoicism to Buddhism, viewed solitude as a prerequisite for wisdom and inner peace. Think of great thinkers, artists, and scientists. Many of their greatest discoveries didn't happen amidst noise, but in moments of deep stillness and reflection. Solitude was the laboratory where they could experiment with their ideas without interruption. Blaise Pascal, the famous French philosopher and mathematician, wrote a line that resonates with incredible force today. He said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." It's a statement that seems written for our generation. We've completely inverted this idea. Today, the ability to be alone and in silence is often confused with unwanted loneliness or depression. We've pathologized introspection. If someone seeks solitude, we ask what's wrong with that person instead of what they might be discovering. And what is the cost of this constant escape? It's enormous. First, we lose the capacity for deep concentration. Attention is like a muscle. By constantly jumping from one stimulus to another, we train it to be weak and scattered. We can't tackle complex problems if we can't think without interruption. Secondly, our creativity erodes. Creativity often emerges from the unexpected connection between seemingly unrelated ideas. These connections occur in those moments of daydreaming when our mind wanders freely. By eliminating boredom, we eliminate the fertile ground for innovation. Neuroscience research supports this. A study published in the journal Trends in Cognitive Sciences suggests that letting the mind wander is fundamental for future planning and creative problem solving. Boredom, which we so often avoid, is actually a neurological catalyst for imagination. Third, and perhaps most concerning, is the loss of empathy. Empathy requires us to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. To do that, we need an understanding of our own emotional landscape. If we never sit down to listen to our own feelings, how can we expect to understand others? Conversation, real dialogue, also suffers. Sherry Turkle, the MIT researcher we mentioned earlier, points out that we've replaced conversation with mere connection. Real conversation is messy, it requires patience and mindfulness. We've grown accustomed to quick, edited interactions. And finally, we lose self-knowledge. If we're never alone with our thoughts, we never process our experiences. We never evaluate our decisions. We never ask ourselves who we are and who we are becoming. We live on the surface, constantly reacting, but without a solid core. We become an echo of trends, a collection of the opinions we consume. The voice of our own intuition grows weaker and weaker until we can no longer distinguish it from the external noise. This is the true tragedy of our silence phobia. It's a mass-scale identity crisis. So what do? Are we condemned to live in this perpetual cacophony, running from ourselves until the very end? No, not necessarily. The way back isn't easy, but it is possible. And it begins with a radical and revolutionary act in the modern world, the act of doing nothing. The first step is to recognize the pattern. Observe your own behavior without judgment. Notice how many times a day you reach for your phone to fill a micro moment of silence. Awareness is the key. You can't change a habit you don't know you have. Start by being an observer of your own mind. Then start with small doses. You don't need to meditate for an hour. Try 1 minute. The next time you're waiting for your coffee, just wait. Look around. Listen to the sounds, feel the air, resist the urge to fill that minute. At first, it will be incredibly uncomfortable. That discomfort is a withdrawal symptom. Your brain is accustomed to a high level of stimulation. When you take it away, it protests. Feel the anxiety, the restlessness. Don't run from it, just observe it. It's like a muscle you haven't used in years. It hurts at first, but with time, it strengthens. Reconnect with the physical world. Take a walk without headphones. Pay attention to the details you'd never noticed before, the shape of a leaf, the color of the sky, the texture of a wall. This is sometimes known as mindfulness, which is simply the art of being present in the current moment. Learn to love boredom. Sounds strange, I know. But boredom is the portal to creativity. Let your mind wander without a destination. Don't try to direct your thoughts. Just let them flow. It's in this state of apparent inactivity that the most surprising connections occur. The climax of this journey, the big twist, is realizing that you're not running from an emptiness. You're running from a fullness. Silence is not the absence of something, but the presence of everything. It's the canvas upon which thoughts are painted. It's the space where you can truly hear yourself. Reclaiming silence is an act of personal sovereignty. It's telling the world, the attention economy and social pressures that your mind is not for sale, that your inner time belongs to you. It is the quietest yet most powerful act of resistance in the 21st century. By doing so, you don't just improve your own life. You contribute to a more thoughtful, less reactive world. A person who is at peace with their own silence is a person who can truly listen to others. It's someone who can think critically instead of just reacting to headlines. So the next time silence feels uncomfortable, try something different. Don't pull out your phone. Take a deep breath and listen. Listen to the silence. And then listen to what comes next. You might just meet the most fascinating person you've ever known, yourself. We've journeyed from the neuroscience of our minds to the pressures of our society. We've seen how the fear of silence is actually the fear of ourselves, and how modern culture exploits that fear to keep us distracted and consuming. It's a cycle that weakens us. But we've also seen that there is a way out. It doesn't require expensive technology or complicated gurus. It requires something we all possess: the ability to pause, to breathe, and to dare to be alone in a room, in silence, with our own thoughts, without fear. In summary, silence is not the enemy. It's an old friend we've forgotten how to visit. It's the space where wisdom, creativity, and true identity have the chance to grow. Don't let the world's noise drown out the music of your own soul. Constant noise not only affects our minds, it also has physiological effects. Studies have shown that continuous noise exposure, even at low levels, can increase cortisol levels, the stress hormone. Silence, on the other hand, has a restorative effect on our nervous system. A fascinating study published in the journal Heart found that even 2 minutes of silence can be more relaxing than listening to relaxing music. Silence is not neutral. It's an active intervention that allows our brain and body to recover and reset from the stress of daily life. Let's think about sleep. We need silence to sleep deeply. The brain uses that time to clear out toxins, consolidate memories, and process information. Our fear of silence during the day is like denying the brain the rest it needs to function properly. This aversion to silence also shapes our cities and our spaces. We design places with constant background music, with screens everywhere. The architecture of noise. It's become difficult to find a truly silent public space. Stillness has become a luxury. Consider the difference between walking through a forest and walking through a mall. In the forest, silence is filled with subtle, natural sounds that calm our nervous system. In the mall, artificial noise is designed to overstimulate us, to keep us in a state of desire and consumption. The attention economy is the engine of this architecture of noise. Multi-billion-dollar companies compete for every second of our awareness. Silence is their mortal enemy, because in silence there are no clicks, no views, no consumption. In silence, the product is you, but not for them, for yourself. We've been conditioned to feel that boredom is a problem that needs an immediate solution, and that solution is always just a click away. It's a cycle of dependence designed to be addictive. Every notification is a small hit of dopamine that keeps us hooked. Breaking this cycle requires conscious intention. It means creating sanctuaries of silence in your life. It could be a chair in a corner of your home, a nearby park, or even your car parked for 5 minutes before going inside. A deliberate space where external noise cannot enter. This act of creating a silent space is a form of rebellion. It's a declaration that your mental well-being is more important than the latest trend or notification. It's an act of self-care that has profound implications for how you relate to the world. The practice of silence can also improve your relationships. When you feel comfortable in silence, you don't feel the need to fill every pause in a conversation. You can give the other person space to think and speak. Conversations become deeper and less superficial. Imagine a friendship or romantic relationship where shared silence isn't awkward, but a form of intimacy. It's a sign of deep trust and acceptance. It's being able to be together without the need to perform or fill the void, simply to be. But let's return to internal confrontation. What if what you find in the silence is painful? What if they are traumas or anxieties you've been suppressing? It's a real possibility. Noise doesn't just distract from boredom, it also distracts from pain. It's an anesthetic. In this case, silence acts as a diagnosis. It shows you the wounds that need attention. Ignoring them with constant noise is like turning up loud music to drown out a fire alarm. The danger doesn't disappear, you just stop being aware of it until it's too late. Embracing silence doesn't mean you have to face these problems alone. It means you give yourself the opportunity to recognize they exist. From there, you can seek help, whether through therapy, writing, art, or by talking to someone you trust. Silence is the first step towards healing, not the final destination. Let's see how this manifests in everyday life. You get into the car for a 10-minute drive. The automatic impulse is to turn on the radio or a podcast. Try not to. Drive in silence. Observe your thoughts. Where do they go when you don't direct them? You're cooking. Instead of putting on a video in the background, focus on the task. Listen to the sound of the knife chopping, the sizzle of oil in the pan. Smell the aromas. Turn a mundane task into a mindfulness practice, into a moment of active silence. These small practices begin to reconfigure your brain. They teach it that silence isn't a threat, that a lack of stimulation isn't an emptiness to fear. Slowly, the anxiety associated with stillness begins to dissipate. It's gradual training for inner peace. Ultimately, reclaiming our relationship with silence is about reclaiming control over our own attention. And in the 21st century, our attention is our most valuable asset. Where we place it determines the quality of our life, our work, and our relationships. Thus, what begins as a simple experiment, like turning off the car radio, becomes a profound act of self-definition. You are defining yourself not by what you consume, but by what you choose not to consume. You are choosing depth over superficiality. This is not a call to abandon technology or live as a hermit. It is a call for balance. It's a reminder that we are human beings, not information processors. We need both connection and solitude, both sound and silence. One gives meaning to the other. The Roman philosopher Seneca, a master of Stoicism, advised dividing time between the crowd and solitude. He said that one makes us long for people and the other for ourselves. Balance is key. We've tipped the scales too far to one side, and it's time to correct our course. By seeking silence, you can also inspire others. When people see someone who is calm, centered, and comfortable in their own skin, without the need for constant distraction, they become intrigued. Your calm can be contagious. It can give others permission to seek their own. The absence of external noise allows more subtle internal signals to become audible. Intuition, that small voice we often ignore, speaks in whispers. You can only hear it if you quiet yourself long enough. Many of our best decisions come from this quiet place. This is why many people have their best ideas in the shower or just before falling asleep. These are the few moments of the day when we are free from external stimuli. Silence, even if accidental, allows the subconscious to do its work and deliver its treasures to us. Imagine how much potential we're losing as a society by systematically eliminating these moments from our lives. How many ideas aren't born? How many problems aren't solved? How many works of art aren't created because we're too busy swiping through a screen? Don't underestimate the power of a single moment of stillness. It could be the moment you finally understand a complex problem at work, the moment you realize how you truly feel about a relationship, the moment a new idea for your life emerges from thin air. The irony is that we constantly seek productivity apps and tools to save time, but then fill that saved time with meaningless distractions. The real productivity hack might simply be scheduling time to do absolutely nothing. Our culture idolizes action, but forgets that action without reflection is dangerous. It's like driving a car very fast, but without knowing where you're going. Silence is the map. It's the moment we pause to consult our inner compass before hitting the accelerator again. The next generation is growing up in an even noisier and more stimulating environment. Teaching them the value of silence, the ability to be with their own thoughts, could be one of the most important gifts we can give them. It's a tool of resilience for a chaotic world. In the end, the journey into silence is a journey home. It's a return to the only place we can never truly escape, ourselves. We can try to distract ourselves, but our consciousness is always there. Wouldn't it be better to make that space a place of peace rather than a place to run from? This fear of silence reveals a central paradox of the modern human condition. We are obsessed with self-expression through profiles and posts, but terrified by the self-exploration that stillness demands. We want to be seen, but we avoid seeing ourselves. Social media algorithms are designed to exploit this paradox. They offer us an infinite stream of content to ensure there's never a moment of inactivity, a moment when we might disconnect. Our boredom is a threat to their business model. Resistance, therefore, isn't just personal, it's also political. By choosing silence, you're opting out of a system designed to turn your attention into profit. You're claiming your cognitive autonomy. It's a small act with big meaning. Think of silence as a kind of nutrition for the mind. Just as the body needs healthy food to thrive, the mind needs moments of stillness to process, heal, and grow. In our current mental diet, we're consuming junk food nonstop, and we suffer from introspective malnutrition. The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. If your thoughts are a constant reflection of the chaotic noise you consume, your life will feel chaotic and aimless. Silence is the filter that allows you to choose which thoughts to cultivate and which to let go of. The great discovery on this journey is that the peace we seek in external distractions already resides within us. It has always been there. It has simply been buried under layers and layers of noise. Silence doesn't create peace, it simply allows us to access it. So the goal isn't to eliminate noise completely, that's impossible. The goal is to build such a solid relationship with your inner silence that external noise no longer disturbs you in the same way. You become the calm eye of the storm. Every time you choose 5 minutes of silence over 5 minutes of social media, you're casting a vote. You're voting for depth, for clarity, for self-awareness. You're voting for a stronger, more centered version of yourself. And every vote counts. Don't get discouraged if it's difficult at first. You've spent years, perhaps decades, training your mind to flee silence. Reversing that training takes time and patience. Be kind to yourself in the process. Every attempt is a victory, no matter how short. What's at stake is nothing less than your inner life, the rich, complex, and fascinating universe that exists within your mind. Will you leave it unexplored, covered by the dust of distraction? Or will you dare to shine a light and begin the most important journey of discovery of all? The final paradox is that by embracing solitude, you connect more deeply with the world. By turning off the noise, you start to truly listen. By stopping looking at the screen, you start to see. It's a retreat that prepares you for a more meaningful engagement with life. Remember Pascal's quote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." Perhaps happiness, then, isn't something to be chased, but something that is revealed. It reveals itself when we finally pause, quiet ourselves, and dare to be with ourselves. We've unraveled the mystery. Silence has become uncomfortable because it confronts us with our own minds in a society that trains us to flee from it. But in that confrontation, there's not a monster, but an opportunity. The opportunity to know ourselves, to heal, and to grow. The challenge is set, not as a task, but as an invitation. An invitation to rediscover the beauty of your own inner landscape, to find the music in the stillness, and to build a fortress of peace within you that no external noise can tear down. In conclusion, the power of reclaiming silence is the power of reclaiming yourself. It is the antidote to the anxiety, distraction, and superficiality of our time. It's the path back to a deeper, wiser, and more authentic self. I hope this reflection has given you a new perspective on something as common as silence. May it inspire you to experiment and find your own moments of stillness amidst the chaos. It's a journey worth embarking on. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive and for dedicating your valuable attention to such a crucial topic. Your time and curiosity are the engine that drives this space. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you feel this discomfort with silence? Do you have any strategies for finding stillness in your life? Share your experience in the comments. Dialogue enriches our understanding. If this content has provided value and you want to continue exploring the big questions of psychology, philosophy, and society, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications. It's the best way not to miss our next intellectual journey. Remember, in a world that shouts, silence is an act of power. Until next time, curious minds, keep thinking critically and keep an open mind. See you in the next video.